What's up? It's EK back with another in the Devi Dose rookie scouting profile series. Today we're doing 2023 wide receiver Quentin Johnston of TCU. Many people's wide receiver one in this class. Pretty well consensus top three. Let's take a look at the data. Quentin Johnston, junior wide receiver from TCU. He is an early declare. We like to see that. 6'4", 215 pounds. If Johnston, matches his measurements at the combine, that is dominant physical profile, certainly bigger and heavier than the prototype. And you see it on the field at times with him. Production, raw numbers, career, 108 receptions, 2,002 yards. 13 touchdowns. Best season, 53 receptions, 903 yards, 6 touchdowns. All of those numbers are a little bit light for a guy that, we want to project as, a dominant alpha in the NFL. Just, I'm trying to pull up my average stud figures here. I only have them in my bigger data set. Well, let's just look how they compare to some guys at the top of my model. Scrimmage yard, rush yards, rush carries, receiving touchdowns, receiving yards career. Most of the guys on the high end in the NFL have 3,000 plus. You get guys like Cooper, 34.63, Justin Jefferson, 24.14. You do have Chase with 2,093 because he sat out a season. But that's pretty much it on the low end. Mike Evans, 24.99. Best season stats. I mean, again, these guys, there's not a wide receiver in my top 30 that is less than 1,000-yard best season. There's not a wide receiver. I have to scroll down to Ty Montgomery at wide receiver 63 in my model before I find a guy that had weaker than 1,000-yard best season. But then there are some other hits there too. Chris Olave, Devontae Parker. So if you're keeping company of Chris Olave, you can't be that bad. But I will say it would be an outlier best season if he is to become a top 12 NFL draft pick. And again, the average of guys, a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, the average of guys that achieved a top 12 season was 1,205 yards. So he's a little bit light on that basis. Oh, nope, come back here. Come back here, QJ. All right. So production market share, these are decent numbers. 26% dominator. Let's see how that compares. Dominator rating best. My average, my composite top 12 guy is best season dominator of around 27%. Well, let me do some shenanigans here real quick. Clear rules. There we go. Yeah, 36%. So a little bit weak on that. 25% receiving yards market share. Let me find that. Receiving yards market share. Receiving yards market share. Best, 34%. So weak on that, but there's certainly plenty of guys that were good that had numbers like him. I'd like to see it higher though. 20% receptions market share, best season. The average of guys with top 12 season is 29-30%. Some other guys with weaker ones, Devontae Parker, not that you want him as a comp, but looking like that might be a comp for his data profile. Jamison Williams hasn't done anything yet, but has a similar number there to QJ. So receiving yards per team pass attempt. Again, this is a data point that I care about a lot. It's actually one of the only data points here that's actually in my model. And QJ's best season number is 2.25. My composite stud is 2.91. To get guys that are down in the 2.5 range, Christian Kirk. Lower than that, Tavon Austin does not have a top 20 season. Robert Woods, 2.89. Jarvis Landry, 3.6. So it is tough for me to find a guy with a top 12 season with this low of a number. It's just not that dominant of a number. You do have Michael Thomas with a 2.4 best season. So it's close. I mean, we're not trying to split hairs here, right? You have Crabtree with the 2.54. You have some unsuccessful guys. So we're looking for an outlier with QJ. And then honestly is going to be a theme for me of him with his draft profile is that in a lot of ways, in terms of production metrics, if he succeeds, he's going to be an outlier. Let's look at his efficiency metrics. A.16.4. That tells us this is a dude that did work downfield. 18.5 YPR. Again, that is a big play wide receiver. That's a high number. 0.84 scrimmage yards per team pass attempt. Scrimmage yards per play, rather. That's an average, not a best season. Just trying to find it in here. Great. And then my average stud had a 1.0. So that's fine. It's not great, but I guarantee you I could find some guys that have that range. But it's certainly not a special number. It's more, it's a Gabe Davis number. It's a Deontay Johnson number, right? 2.7 yards per route run. That is a pretty good number. Let me flip over to my other data set here. 2.7 yards per route run is a great number, actually. That's a Devonta Smith number. That's a Jamar Chase number. Josh Downs. That is a high number. I don't use yards per route run in my model because it doesn't translate to fantasy points that well. College YPR, YRR, but that number is blow for blow with any of the best receivers from the past couple of years. And then 1.0 average EPA per play. That is a great number. That's a phenomenal number. I wonder if I weighted EPA more highly, if it would help QJ in my model, because that is the highest number of any wide receiver from the past few classes. Yeah, well, it's right there. It's close. There's a few guys in this class that are there. Jalen Waddle was a 1.2, but for the most part, most guys are under 1. So that's an interesting data point for me. That is depending what you think of EPA, right? Elusive statistics, 22 missed forced tackles. That's a best season number. That is a phenomenal number. Again, I don't use that in my model, but that's a really strong number. The average is 20-ish, lower than 20. It's 22 first downs. It's a pretty average number for the first downs. 18 missed forced tackles. It's a pretty average number. I actually expected him to have a lot higher than that. But the 8.2 yards after catch per reception is phenomenal. That is a really, really strong number, which makes sense. It's consistent with his profile. Actually, I was surprised when we did JSN that he didn't have an extraordinarily high number there. But pleased to say that QJ does. And then 75.9 route running grade. I can't put a lot of water in PFF's grades. I included them on the cards because I thought they were an interesting data point. But the more I look at them, Jared Stearns has a 90.6. He's a backup. You know what I mean? If he's even on a roster right now. Tylan Wallace has an 82.3. Tylan Wallace is like a fourth-string wide receiver. Meanwhile, guys that are NFL starters have lower grades than this. So can't put too much in that. So what does it all mean? How does it all tie in? In my composite model, not accounting for early declare, I like to look at things in parallel with early declare and without them. QJ has about a 6.2. So that isn't the worst number, but it's not a great number either. Honestly, it looks like he's poorer than that right now in this one. I don't know if I changed something that shook him up a little bit, but yeah, I'm coming up with a 5.5 CPI for him right now. I'll have to look into this and make sure I didn't shake anything up, but it's a really low number, we'll say. It's not a good number. Certainly not something that you want to see from a guy you're going to have to invest a first-round rookie pick in. I will tell you some guys that are in that range. He's in the range of guys like Romeo Doubs, Javon Hiley, Terrace Marshall Jr., Marquez Stevenson, Amari Rogers, some college guys that I like, but I'm trying to find a successful NFL hit in that range, and I am coming up dry. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that range, again, I thought he was like a 6.2, which is a big difference, but the lowest hit I have from the past few classes is Jalen Waddle at a 5.1, and QJ is 5.0. So that's rough. It's a rough number for QJ. All right, let's look at the totality of it. I do think you have to take context into account when you're looking at these things, and QJ definitely played with a substandard quarterback. And Max Duggan was bad for most of QJ's career. He played better this year, but still was not an accurate passer a lot of the time. That team won based on running, opening up the passing game, and high efficiency plays downfield from QJ. So I think you can cut him a little bit of a break in some of the bad numbers. It still is a little bit alarming because you see really high-end NFL wide receivers producing despite their systems, despite their quarterbacks. That said, 903 yards isn't terrible. Like I said, that was Olave's best season was in that range. But it's not like QJ was playing alongside three other NFL wide receivers. I do think that his yak ability, his size, and his explosive downfield ability gets him drafted high no matter what. I do think that on raw athleticism and raw talent, he's going to be a producer for fantasy football. However, and we'll get into this more when we look at his film, he's got some things he really has to work on. I mean, technique things, consistency, route running. He's the kind of guy that might have a good career, but I think he's going to have a really rough rookie season. I don't think he's going to come out the gates and just be dunking on guys because he's not going to be able to beat bigger, stronger NFL quarterbacks the way he was winning in college. He's going to have to develop some technique if he's really going to be a top 12, top 20 NFL receiver. That's why for right now I have Addison over him. I think Quentin has a far higher ceiling, but I think his floor is an NFL backup. So all right, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know if you're enjoying these rookie profiles. Let me know what wide receivers you'd like me to touch on next. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll see you next time.